This course is using RESTful services to create backend for application written in Angular or JavaScript in general. Today's examples do contain JavaScript, and I will briefly describe what it does. But since this course will not use JavaScript anymore, except in the today examples, and these examples are only for illustration. It's not for as an examples to write code. I will talk very briefly about it, just as a demo that it's possible to do, and we will learn how to do it in Angular, because Angular is far better approach. And there is also examples that shows that there are difficulties with JavaScript if you do it with brute force in pure JavaScript or using jQuery. So you will see this today. We will start learning Angular immediately after break, like midterm break. And it will take probably a couple of weeks to get directly into Angular. And you'll have assignments just directly into Angular. And after this, assignment to write client for provided backend. And I will provide examples with both Angular and backend. So this is using REST service. What is REST service? Let's do a quick introduction what it's about. There are two kinds of web services that are common on web. Simple Object Access Protocol, SOAP, it is definitely oldest one, and it's about 25 years old. So it is end of 90s. Microsoft created this protocol, and it was done from scratch using XML. XML already existed at that time, but it was new technology. Microsoft created this protocol from scratch. And it was called Simple Object Access Protocol because at the time it was the simplest way to access objects through network. It is definitely not the simplest right now. The simplest is SOAP. Not SOAP. The simplest is REST. SOAP it was called Simple Object Access Protocol. It is end of 90s, so about 25 years old. Representational state protocol, transfer protocol, REST, it is the simplest at this moment. Why it is the simplest? Because typically it is used with JSON, and JSON, it is JavaScript object notation. It is easy to use it in JavaScript, and most clients is written in JavaScript. It is also easy to use it in other languages because there are convenience libraries that helps you a lot in order to convert it back and forth. So today we will create or see programs. We will see programs in Java that is receiving JSON and sending JSON. You don't have to deal with JSON because it comes with the libraries together with the Spring Boot. Unlike SOAP protocol that was created from scratch, REST protocol was created on top of another protocol. No, almost from scratch. It was obviously it's using network protocols. But a representation state transfer protocol, REST protocol, was created on top of HTTP protocol. Just because it was created on top of HTTP protocol, it is reusing lots of existing web technologies. So it was adopted quickly, because technologies were already in place. SOAP protocol is using XML. REST protocol can transfer any data that can be pushed through network. Like typically it is JSON, JavaScript object notation, but it will work just fine with XML or even plain text. So any data format that can be pushed through network. Most of the time, it is JSON. And in this course, we will use JSON. REST protocol is using web addresses or addresses similar to web. Web addresses to access or to locate data. You will see today in the examples, we will type the address in a browser and it will show the data. So they are using URI to mark locations of the data. Another distinguished property of REST that clients interact entirely through hypermedia, but this part is not always present. It is something in addition to it. If you create a RESTful service using REST repositories, it will be included by default because it's using libraries directly that come from Spring Boot that has this part. If you implement REST service brute force by creating REST controller yourself and create objects and send these objects, definitely it's not included. And it will require some work to make it work because you will have to add libraries and you have to call APIs of those libraries to add additional description of the data. So what is hypermedia? Hypermedia, it is description of the existing and other data that is not shown, but you have description of it so you can access it. So you will see it in the today examples that REST service provides not just data, it also provides description of the shown data and other data served by the program. How it's called? It's called HITIS. How to pronounce it? I've Googled this a lot and I found videos. And people say pronounce it. There's no convention how to pronounce it. Most people say HITIS because it's short this way. So in the exam, it is hard to say, describe it without actually showing, and once you see it, you will see. So besides the data, it shows description of it and other location of other data related to it. So when we use REST protocol, it is definitely server side of client-server application. And why? Because these applications designed this way can share data with other applications. For example, we have back-end sharing data with front-end written as website, front-end written as Android app, front-end written as, say, iOS app. And this way, data will be shared. If the data belongs to the same user, user can use different means to access the data. Either from phone or from website, can set appointment if it is about appointment, or access on shopping list if it's about shopping list. So this is the rationale of client side. A REST protocol is built on top of HTTP protocol, and HTTP protocol is stateless, unless you learn that unless we use additional tricks on top of HTTP protocol to maintain state of the current state of the interaction. Remember, we could maintain current state using session or cookies or both, or data in links, or all these means are additional layers on top of HTTP protocol, additional functionalities in addition to HTTP protocol to maintain state. But HTTP itself is stateless. It doesn't remember you, or it doesn't remember browser. It receives a request and sends response based on the data inside of the request. So this is default behavior of HTTP. The same as REST. It's not a bug, it's a feature. And it's a feature designed for scalability. So servers can be done on more than one computer. So if it is state, you need to maintain that state somewhere. If it is stateless, you don't have such issue. You don't have to maintain location of the state. You can duplicate the data. So for this reason, it is stateless for the purpose of duplicating the data and balancing the loads of a server. So when the request comes from different browsers, front end, some gateway can balance responding to requests between different nodes of a server. So it will load balance response. So it will forward requests to different nodes So different nodes will be equally loaded. So when we do that, it is multi-layer structure, and cacheable, it means maintaining copies of the data. So how it is done, because addresses of the data, they are web addresses, so HTTP cache technology can be reused to cache data. And in this case, we have layered system, because we have a front end that is doing load balancing, or balancing the loads of coming from the request, from serving request, for serving request, and this is the idea of layered system. It is good, since it can send not just XML or JSON, it can send any data that can be sent through a network. It can also send JavaScript, and this technology is called code on demand. So RESTful services can send JavaScript as well, and it's used. A way to learn more, information is all around, because RESTful protocol, it's one of the most popular protocols for backends. So these links are to textbooks in the library. They're available for free. It's in our library. And information is all around the internet. But RESTful protocol is limited by the fact that it is stateless, and by the fact it is HTTP-based protocol. It is request-response protocol. Where is the limit? Just because it is request-response protocol, it is responding to requests coming from the browser, and this is it. There is no notifications built inside of it. It's always sending responses to requests from browser. It means there is no way to implement features like chat, any kind of notifications. It's not there, you cannot do it. So you have to use some other protocols in order to implement live interactions with users, like chats, for example. So it's only sending responses based on requests. And quite common mistake for students doing projects, like final projects, like capstone project. So they design applications that contains chat. They create RESTful service, but when they reach chat, they realize that RESTful service cannot be used for chat, because it doesn't have anything built in to do notifications. So they have to learn something extra, definitely, something extra to implement chat or any notifications, but too little time left. So don't make it happen to you. So be aware of it. So if you want to use REST, cool, because one of the most popular. But if your application is using something like live interactions between users or live interaction with the server, you need to use something else on top of it. Okay. Questions? So this is about introduction.